why is it that LSK wants to bend that law?
Well, as I pointed out, that mandatory requirement is something that I brought out to my council. Unfortunately, I was outvoted with a few of my council members in that regard. What happened on Monday was not a vetting exercise at all, because you cannot clear candidates, especially one candidate who had not signed the declaration form, had not provided health clearance, CID clearance, KRA clearance. And that candidate, like a cancer, has spoiled the entire process. That's why we must vet in accordance with the Constitution and what is expected under Article 53. So I apologize for the mistake that took place, but in the interest of justice, as the law always says, if an act is void from the outset, it must be set aside.
There are claims that LSK is divided. Would you confirm or deny?
Well, in every political game, they are always supporters of respective candidates. That is nothing to say that we are divided, but we must remain united in the pursuit of the Constitution and the rule of law. Like when I ran for president, of course, our members had different sides. I had my supporters, and there were supporters for my opponent. So I would not call that divided. But the rule of law cannot divide us. That is sacrosanct for us. It's a solemn oath we took.
And perhaps, are there political interference in terms of your operations?
None whatsoever. As long as I'm president of Law Society, you're aware that we've instituted several public interest litigation cases. In fact, I'm happy to report that even today, the task force on the conveyancing regulations will hand over the report. That task force was as a result of the Law Society going to court to uphold the rule of law. So there is no political interference whatsoever. That is why I've called this press conference to demonstrate that we must review an unjust decision that took place. And I expect that on Monday, God willing, we will unravel that bad decision.
Those supporting Professor Ojienda's candidature claim that the executive is trying to interfere in these elections because it has interest on who goes into the Judicial Service Commission, and that Professor Ojienda may not toe the line. So that is why there's a push to ensure that he's out.
The point with any candidate, of course, there will always be rumors and accusations and counter-accusations. My role and that of the council as president is to rise above such petty rumors. We are simply here to ensure that there's a fair process and there's due process. I'll give an example. In the last elections, 7 candidates were not cleared because they do not have crucial documents. In every election, candidates are vetted. And we must apply the same universal standards expected of the process. This is not a process about any candidate. This is only a process about fairness and respect for the law.
When is the election likely, the vetting likely to take place?
The vetting will take place on Monday. The elections of the JSC will take place on the 9th of May.
Just for clarification, how do you think it was they cleared like these 2 candidates, especially for Gathii Irungu, who presented his nomination papers out of the timeline? Because you can't just clear a candidate like that. The question as to why these 2 are cleared despite questions being raised.
As I said, this was a majority decision of some of the council. And with every council, we'll always have members of the council who have certain interests at heart. And my resolve, as I've made it time and time again clear, the only interest I have at heart is Section 4 of the Law Society of Kenya Act, which defines our jurisdiction parameters of engagement. We must remain the voice of reason. We must remain the pulse of the nation to correct rights and wrongs. That is why we're lawyers. And that is why I have taken this step to do so. I know it may not find favor with some of my members, but to them I tell them, we became lawyers for the pursuit of legal and constitutional tenets. That is what must guide us. In the past, if you remember last year, there was even an attempt to have me removed as president of Law Society. And I'm sure that even this time round, some are burning the midnight oil lamp to fight my quest to uphold the rule of law. And I will not be intimidated by any such motions that may come at the annual general meeting, because I anticipate all these things. For me, as the president, I took an oath to ensure there's reform, and that path of reform is what shall guide us until my term ends.
Just one last one, as you, and there are claims that there is a faction of lawyers affiliated to the LSK that have registered another unit calling it Chama cha Mawakili. Do you care to comment?
Well, all I can tell you is that as we speak, there's a court case pending. The Law Society has raised an objection. The court case, if I'm not mistaken, has been stayed pending the resolution before the acting registrar of businesses, who will determine whether the name should stay or not. So I cannot comment further on that because it's actually pending.
You talked about claims that some people might have been compromised, and your members have been mentioned in various allegations of corruption. Perhaps, how soon should authorities come to investigate the matter?
Well, as I said, I am ready to be investigated even today. The anti-corruption can come and verify if there's any untold or unfortunate or compromise of any actions taken by me. I am volunteering. I have no problem whatsoever. I have nothing to hide. So that's why, in all honesty, I invite the authorities to come and investigate me. As a leader, as I said, we must be beyond reproach. We must be, I can comfortably say that I sleep peacefully at night without any fear that someone will come knocking at 1 a.m. to pick me up. I think, unless there are any other questions, I hope I have satisfactorily answered all your questions. And I do thank you very much for coming to this meeting, as I felt it's important to set the record straight and to demonstrate to the public at large and to my members of the legal society that action shall be taken, and that on Monday we will meet and we shall resolve the matter to the satisfaction of the membership at large. Thank you very much, members of the press.